'cause you were born with mischief in your eyes and fire in your veins.
Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and welcome to the first part of my wrap up for December. I have two parts to get through, but here's part one. So, it is only December 25th when I'm recording this first part. Of course, Christmas, but what else am I gonna do? My mom's at the hospital still visiting my dad. Yeah. So, let's get into the first 10 books, shall we? The first book I finished this month was The Prophet of Yonwood by Jan Duprow. This is the third book in the Book of Ember series. I really disliked a majority of this book. It was just way too focused on religion, and there was just no point to it. You pretty much already knew a majority of this book just from reading, like, City of Ember and The People of Sparks. It was just a completely unneeded prequel. It gave you, like, nothing new in it. It was just, like, this before the war happened story, and it got on my nerves. I did like the very end of it, which was the part where you see firsthand what is happening, like, but the thing is that what happened was years after this story, and it was just, the story was so unneeded. I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars on Goodreads, and I think I was being a little too nice, because it still really bugs me almost a month later. After that, I read Inherit the Stars by Tessa Elwood. This is the first book in the Inherit the Stars series. I really enjoyed this book. It was quite a different plot to it. It was absolutely fun to read. I do wish it had a little bit more action, which is why I only gave it a 4 out of 5 stars, but I received it through NetGalley, and I am interested to read the next book when it comes out. After that, I read Bloodline by Kate Carey. I borrowed this from my library, and this is the first book in the Bloodline, I think, duology. It wasn't a bad book, but it definitely wasn't for me. I went into it knowing that it was a vampire book. It was a Victorian vampire book. But it wasn't so much focused on vampires. It was more the Victorian aspect, which really bothered me because it was pushed. Like, everything I read about it was about the vampire aspect, and then it wasn't about the vampires, so it really irked me that did that. There wasn't nearly enough action. There wasn't nearly enough vampire action for me in this, so I only gave it a 3 out of 5 stars. It's not a bad book. If Victorian England is for you, and you like vampires, go read it. It just wasn't for me. After that, I read the fourth book in the Book of Ember series, which is The Diamond of Darkhold, again by Jan Duprow. This one was so interesting. I really liked it. I enjoyed discovering what the diamond actually was, and I absolutely loved the ending to this series and this book, so I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. After that, I cemented my love of Rainbow Rowell by reading Fangirl. I'm just so absolutely in love with this book. I'm actually going to buy myself a physical copy of this and of Carry On. But I have this on my ebook, on my Kindle, but I want a physical copy. I just want all of her books. Currently, I own Landline in Lorne Park. But there's just awesome character development in this. The story was amazing. The ending was just so good. And I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars. Of course, what comes next? If you have been following me on Twitter or even on Goodreads, you know I power read a bunch of Rainbow Rowell. So I read Carry On literally right afterwards. I finished Fangirl. I put this on hold at my library and they got it to me within an hour. So awesome. I love my library for that. But I just loved this so much. I went in this with actually fairly high expectations because of the hype with it, and just coming off of reading Fangirl. Callie can't understand why I'm flailing around a book. She's laying right here. Right here. But I totally wasn't disappointed. This was just an amazing book. Hearing what I had already heard from reviews, I was definitely not disappointed. The ending was just so perfect because for a little bit of it, I was a little thrown off thinking that it was just the 8th book in the Simon Snow series, and then I'm like, wait, I had heard it was the fan fiction though. It is the fan fiction. It just really threw me off until certain parts of it where you start getting the quotes that you read in Fangirl. But again, 5 out of 5 stars. Next book, Lorne Park by Rainbow Rowell. I literally power read. I still have to read attachments, but that's it. But again, I really loved this one. I loved the storyline, and the characters were just so interesting in this, and very well written. I loved the cliffhanger. I really did. I think she should make a sequel, or something, a novella, something. But I did love how she ended this, and you're left wondering what the last words were. But I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. After that, I read The Witch of Duva by Leigh Bardugo. This is 0.5 in the Grisha trilogy. This was actually quite creepy. I absolutely loved this little twist on Hansel and Gretel, though. It was very obviously Hansel and Gretel. I really loved it, though. And I gave it a 5 out of 5 stars because I loved the creep factor and I loved the Hansel and Gretel in it. After that, I read The Too Clever Fox by Leigh Bardugo, which is 2.5 in the Grisha trilogy. This one was a little sad. I did love the message in it, though, and I love Leigh's writing style. I just absolutely love her. I adore her. I adore her writing. I adore her as a person. She is the sweetest person ever. I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. And the funny thing is, I think... Is that the last one? I think that was the last one I had to read. Awesome. So yeah, I'm done with the Grisha trilogy. Now I just have to finish Six of Crows. So my final book for this one, I read Friday the 13th by Cameron Jace. This is the Grimm Diaries prequels 18.5, so this was a novella of a novella, because the Diaries prequels are definitely novellas. But this one was so interesting, but so creepy at the same time. I loved his take on the date of Friday the 13th, though, and I give it a 5 out of 5 stars. But that is it for this video. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. If you did, give it a huge thumbs up, and I'll see you guys all in my next video. Bye, everyone.
'Cause you were born with mischief in your eyes and fire